One, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. Here we go.
This following critical incident briefing is an evidence discretion is advised. On Friday, November 12, 2021, at approximately 7:09 p.m., Santa Clarita Sheriff Station deputies observed a black GMC Sport utility vehicle parked in the Park and Ride parking lot at the Newhall Avenue exit, east of the 14 freeway. As the deputies neared the SUV and their patrol vehicle, they observed a male seated in the driver's seat drinking what was believed to be an alcoholic beverage. The deputies drove next to the SUV and smelled a strong odor of marijuana emitting from inside the SUV. The male was later identified as 32-year-old Manuel Fidel Chavez. Chavez placed the SUV in reverse and proceeded to accelerate through the parking lot away from the deputies. He nearly collided with other occupied vehicles and pedestrians as he drove onto Newhall Avenue. The deputies attempted to conduct a traffic stop, but Chavez failed to yield. As a result, the deputies initiated a pursuit of Chavez as a reckless driver suspected of being under the influence. Chavez continued to elude deputies while driving recklessly. He entered the 14 freeway, exited and drove on surface streets, and re-entered the northbound 14 freeway. The pursuit was terminated when a sheriff's department helicopter arrived and kept sight of Chavez's location from above. Chavez exited the 14 freeway to northbound Soledad Canyon Road. Chavez entered an RV park located on the 10,600 block of Soledad Canyon Road by ramming the main gate with his SUV. Once inside the RV park, he exited the SUV and fled on foot. The pilot and observer inside the helicopter requested patrol units to respond to the RV park in an attempt to apprehend Chavez. As deputies arrived, they were directed by the helicopter observer to Chavez's location within the RV park. During this time, Chavez entered a parked blue Dodge Challenger and proceeded to accelerate toward the main gate of the RV park. Arriving deputies parked in one of the two driveways at the main gate of the RV park, exited their patrol vehicles, and proceeded to enter through the main gate. Chavez accelerated toward the deputies and exited the main gate. After driving out of the main gate, Chavez conducted a U-turn to re-enter the RV park, accelerated the vehicle directly toward the deputies, and a deputy-involved shooting occurred.
Some fucking Dukes of Hazzard shit right there.
Chavez continued driving recklessly by speeding and driving off the paved road through lot spaces and yards within the RV park. Chavez crashed into a pedestrian bridge and drove back towards the main gate where deputies were attempting to re-enter their patrol vehicles. Chavez accelerated toward deputies a third time, and a second deputy-involved shooting occurred.
You're on the patch, go.
Alright, so we'll back into what we've seen so far. Alright, so he just freaking rammed this gate.
Canyon Road by ramming the main gate with his SUV. Once inside the RV park, he exited the SUV and fled on foot. The pilot to Challenger and proceeded to accelerate toward the main gate of the RV park. Arriving deputies parked in one of the two driveways at the main gate of the RV park, exited their...
So, I don't understand why they didn't use their patrol cars to block this fucking entrance. Like, that would make, I don't know, sense to me. Instead of parking in a driveway, Maybe they were just issued brand new cruisers, and it's been a while since they've been in one, and they've been stuck in an old ass piece of shit for a long time. I don't know. Maybe they didn't want the brand new car that they were in to get ruined. I have no idea, but this dude goes into a RV park. There's going to be a limited amount of entries and exits for this place. The one that that exists is the one he rammed the fucking gate. Why would you not block that? Like, they should have used their vehicles to block that entrance, and or put spike strips out right in that opening, and park some patrol cars there to block it. That way people can go back and forth. And if he did, end up going back through there, which he did, he would have hit the spike strips and had to have smashed through vehicles, which could have caused significant damage to his vehicle and rendered it inoperable, or at least decreases its effectiveness in handling at high speeds, or even being able to get up to high speed altogether. So I think that's a fail on their part, not blocking this exit.
Patrol vehicles and proceeded to enter through the main gate. Chavez accelerated toward the deputies and
Also see nothing but pistols.
Exited the main gate. After driving...
That to me is a problem. This dude has presented himself to be a huge problem, a huge danger to others. There's a good chance that there could be a gunfight involved here. Don't know what's going on. Don't know what he's armed with. He's extremely violent, has no regard for life. I think that rifles would have been totally appropriate for deploying on this, and should have been deployed on this. That way, if they had to get into a fight with this guy, they would be able to utilize the rifles to stop the threat a lot faster. Rifles are great at stopping the threat. They're more accurate. The barrels are longer. You got more points of contact on there. Whereas with a pistol, it's a very short barrel and only 2 points of contact. Your dominant hand and your support hand. Not very accurate there. And the terminal ballistics are night and day. Rifle will dominate. It's fucking devastating. So they should have had rifles out. That way, if it became a deadly force, then they would be able to deliver a good amount of deadly force and be accurate with their hits. Or be more accurate with their hits than if just using a pistol.
Out of the main gate, Chavez conducted a U-turn to re-enter the RV park, accelerated the vehicle directly toward the deputies, and a deputy-involved shooting occurred. The RV park accelerated the vehicle directly.
So pay attention to this guy.
Toward the deputies, and a deputy.
One-handed shooting.
Involved shooting occurred.
One-handed shooting is not very accurate. I mean, you can still hit stuff with it, but it's not the best way to shoot. Two-handed shooting is most preferred. Now, let's go and change angles here in a second. Here we go. Fast forward this. Alright, so that's... Where's our one-handed guy at? Alright, so he goes out. And then here soon, he's going to come back up. So this dude is fucking shooting as he drives by, remember? Well, who's on the other side over here? Alright. Look at that. There's a friendly right there. And then, boom, this guy was shooting the whole fucking time as that car was going through there. So, that was a crossfire situation right there. I mean, hell, one of his rounds could have gone through the windows of that vehicle and hit the good guy. So, you always got to be mindful of, that cardinal rule. Your target and what is behind it. So, shooting in the vehicle like that one-handed, yeah, you're trying to stop the threat because he is a threat. I mean, he is in a several 100-pound threat that will easily kill, maim, and dismember someone. So they're totally justified in using deadly physical force against this guy, but bullets go through cars kind of easily, and if there's someone on the other side of that car, then you're basically shooting at them as well. And I just don't think that's the greatest thing to do. These RVs, very thin-skinned. You got to be careful with your shooting, and that's why I said that I think rifles would have been more appropriate. They would have been able to be more accurate with it and fire less rounds and put those fewer rounds that they did fire would have been more accurate, and they would have been able to stop that threat a lot sooner, I think. But the biggest thing is not blocking that damn gate. I don't know why they didn't do that.
Through lot spaces and yard and gate or daytime, and a second deputy.
1033, give me a patch.
1033, you're on the patch, go.
Santa Cruz, 806 George 4 is going to be in pursuit of a reckless deuce. Vehicle just nearly collided with a couple vehicles. We are northbound on the 14 freeway.
Copy, northbound on the 14, what's the cross?
We just got on Newhall Avenue. Vehicle is driving on the emergency lane. Speeds are going to be about 70 miles per hour.
And copy at Newhall Avenue, 70 miles per hour in the emergency lane. Can you have a description of the vehicle or a plate?
Yeah, infirm. Stand by.
Was there a unit wireless system on it?
What's the location for
Northbound 14
We are
freeway at
northbound
Newhall Avenue.
on the 14 freeway. We're approaching Golden Valley Triangle. It appears the vehicle might have lost the tire, front tire.
10 for approaching Golden Valley, unit 1 or less.
Plate is going to be it's a black SUV.
Copy, black SUV. Was there a SAM unit to start responding?
60 Sam, code 3.
Copy, 60 SAM is code 3. Arrow, your ETA?
First just been 2.5 now.
Arrow's 2.5 out. Plates coming back. Clear current 09 GMC. Arrow's address on 8th Street East in Palmdale. 806 George 4, you're updated 1020 speed in traffic.
We are still northbound on the 14. Vehicle is just getting off on Golden Valley. We're at about 30 miles per hour. Via Princessa.
Copy, Lost Canyon and Via Princessa.
SSPR 29's over here. We got the suspect vehicle on site. It's going to be continuing northbound. Stand by for a cross.
Arrow overhead.
It's going to be crossing Lost Canyon. Still, actually northbound Lost Canyon. Stand by for cross street here. Okay, just crossing Silver Bright. Still northbound via Princess or Lost Canyon Road. We're speed's about 70 miles per hour.
Copy, 70 miles per hour passing Silver Light northbound on Lost Canyon.
Surveillance mode only. Notify PHP in the event that
10-4. Surveillance mode only. Surveillance mode only again. Arrow and 806 George 4 and any other unit involved. Surveillance mode only at this time. On 806 George 4, your ETA.
We're about probably still 3 to 4 out.
Copy, still 3 to 4 out. 6-7 Adam.
We're going to be about 3 to 4 out.
10-4. Arrow updated.
Pulling into a canyon here, or a RV park. He just rammed the gate, and he's through inside the trailer park here. And he's getting ready to foot belt here, guys.
Copy, getting ready to foot belt, ram to gate into the RV park.
So, I don't think they did a very good job with this video. I think, obviously, this radio traffic and stuff should have been to the beginning instead of being played after seeing the visuals of what has transpired. I just think they did a poor job on this.
He just ran behind a trailer. I'm kind of lost him in the trees.
10-4, ran behind a trailer, lost him in the trees.
All right, I've lost sight of him, ma'am. He's in between a couple trailers here. What's my ETA on the ground units?
George 4 going, code 6.
806 George 4.
Keep coming, I'll tell you when to stop. Keep coming, keep coming. Okay, right there, stop right there, stop right there. Okay, he's going to be right out your driver door, that fifth wheel, that's right out your driver door. He's going to be somewhere behind that blue fence. Hit another unit, keep coming north, and then when you're going to see a gate that's rammed, go through there and you'll gain entrance. Let me get a unit on that other side there.
A31 Adam, 1 year ETA.
Myself and 831 Adam are about 2 out.
Copy, still 2 out.
Stop that car, stop that car. He might be, okay, I think he just carjacked the car, ma'am. Now he's, okay, stand by. Guy's spinning out, he's trying to ram deputies. We got a 245 on a deputy. He's in a blue Charger with gray, silver stripes on the front hood. Okay, he's just trying to ram somebody else inside the trailer park.
I copy now on a blue Charger with gray stripes on the hood, 245 on a deputy. Was there a unit 1 or less?
We have 5 units. Hey guys, get back in your car and get ready to engage this guy. He tried to 245 several deputies and he tried to 245 a civilian inside the trailer park with the vehicle. Coming through the center, and he's going to be back on the pavement, and he's going to be going back southbound. He's coming right at your car, guys, your radio cars. I don't know if anybody's over there. All right, went in between 2 radio cars, and he's still, okay, he's going to be southbound Sand Canyon, or Soledad Canyon, and he's in a Dodge Charger, and he's probably doing about 75, 80 miles an hour. Okay, I think I got to get in with a spike strip. Hey, that car that just passed that Crown Vic, that's going to be your suspect.
900!
Copy 998.
Chavez drove out of the RV park at a high rate of speed and onto southbound Soledad Canyon Road. About 1 mile later, he was involved in a solo traffic collision when he struck a guardrail at a bridge overpass. Following the collision, Chavez exited the vehicle and fled on foot down an embankment and under the overpass. The helicopter observer who was overhead directed deputies to Chavez's location, where he surrendered to deputies. Chavez sustained injuries as a result of being struck by gunfire. He also had cuts and abrasions on his body as a result of the traffic collision. Paramedics from the Los Angeles County Fire Department responded and provided emergency medical attention. Chavez was transported to a local hospital where he was treated for non-life-threatening injuries. He was subsequently cleared for booking. There were no other persons injured during this incident. It was later learned that Chavez resided inside the RV park and the blue Dodge Challenger was registered to a family member. In addition, Chavez was prohibited from owning firearms. During a search warrant of his residence, a total of 11 firearms were seized. Subsequent to this incident, Chavez was charged with 3 counts of attempted murder, 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer, and 1 count of felony evading. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department has begun a change the vehicle and fled on foot.
All right, so this dude, holy shit. This guy is a clear and present danger to society. The whole trying to run the deputies over and almost running that family member, not family member, but running that other person over in that RV park. The dude's a danger. And getting back on the road and engaging in another pursuit, going to put other people at risk. This is one of those situations where using deadly physical force to stop him is needed. It's not very often that those kind of scenarios come into play. There's one that came into play where I forget what state it was, but the suspects were in a U-Haul truck, and the U-Haul truck, they were dangerous. They were trying to hit people on purpose. They're going down the road, and the officer fires through the window into the cab of the U-Haul truck and obviously hits the target, and U-Haul truck comes to a stop. So this is one of those scenarios where I think that would have been completely justified. This guy has already tried to run people over, not just the police, but also an innocent person. And he is a substantial risk to the rest of public. So I think that deadly physical force would have been appropriate in that instance, to be able to, as he's going down the road, pull up alongside him and engage him that way. You know, I wouldn't even be opposed to the idea that the helicopter get in on some action like that. You know, the helicopter have a person in the back, or maybe even the co-pilot, whatever, have the ability to operate a rifle within the vehicle and be able to get down to a low enough altitude to where they could fly over top of the vehicle and fire down into it and get that vehicle to stop. I think that would be totally appropriate and acceptable, but that would be kind of a hard pass for a lot of people. They would see that as kind of an overreach. I can only hear the cries of, "That's militarizing the police. No, we're militarizing the police." But there are just some people out there who have no regard for other human life whatsoever. And they will do whatever it takes to try and get away. And if that means running over kids and running over pregnant nuns and blind bunnies, then they're going to do that. And they need to be stopped. They are a threat. You need to stop the threat. So, yeah.
Injured during this incident. It was later learned that Chavez resided inside the RV park, and the blue Dodge Challenger was registered to a family member.
So he lived in the RV park. Like, why in the hell didn't he just drink and smoke at the RV park? Why did he have to go drive all the way out to that big old parking lot place that he was at and do it there? Like, who the hell's going to mess with you in the RV park if you decide to, one, drink there, and then two, smoke there? Like, what are the odds of law enforcement coming across and finding you smoking weed in an RV park versus you being out in public somewhere in a public parking lot smoking weed? Like, this dude's stupid. Like, no wonder this dude has a life of crime. He's not very bright.
In addition, Chavez was prohibited from owning firearms. During a search warrant of his residence, a total of 11 firearms were seized. Subsequent to this incident, Chavez was charged with 3 counts of attempt.
Yeah, so they don't go into detail about this dude's criminal background. But he's obviously a felon, and he's not supposed to be possessing guns. I would say that it's probably more than just one criminal charge that he has that makes him a felon. I would not be surprised to find out that he has multiple different charges over a span of time that include more than one felony and probably most likely a bunch of misdemeanors. Someone like this is what you call a habitual offender. They're a career criminal. When I talk about getting hard on crime, this is the kind of people I'm talking about, like violent offenders and repeat offenders. So this incident right here, this incident that occurred means that this dude should be locked away for a very, very long time. Very long time. Criminals do not fear the criminal justice system. It is an annoyance to them. That's why they still run from the police. That's why they still lie and try to get away with stuff. They don't want to go to prison. They don't want to go to jail because it interferes with them being able to do whatever the hell they want to do. But once they get there, they're okay with it. They make do. They certainly do not fear the criminal justice system. And that's the problem. We need to make them fear the criminal justice system. They know that if they get caught for something, it's not going to be that bad. They know they get caught, that, for one, they're going to have a bond, and it's probably going to be low, and depending on where they're at, there may even be groups that help pay their bond for them. And there's different types of bonds, so it may not just be a straight cash bond. It may be a, they got a family member or something, they could put property up, bail bondsmen, they only pay a certain percent or whatever, and they'll take care of it. Different kinds of bonds. There's also the ability for a person who stays in jail for a while that they get time served for credit. And so if they're in jail waiting for their court case to come up, whatever, and they've got a $10,000 bond, the judge could say, well, past this point, each day that you're in jail, that's time served, so we'll give you $100 off a day. And they can literally stay in jail and have their bond whittled down to almost nothing, and then have a family member come in and pay off what's remaining, and then they'll be out and be able to do what they want to do up until their trial comes, which can be a long time. There is the ability to make a plea deal, have their charges amended down to something lower if they plead guilty to something, agree to plead guilty in return for a reduced sentence, some leniency, whatever. If they go snitch on someone, and that's what a lot of criminals do. They fucking snitch on each other. They give the goods up on someone else, help a case out, and then they get some reduced time. They can get pretrial diversion. There could be an alternative to detention kind of thing where they get put on probation. If they do end up being sentenced to prison for a while, they may not even have to serve 100% of the sentence. They may say you serve 70% and then you're eligible for parole. And they serve X amount of time, and then boom, parole time comes around, and they do the dog and pony show for parole board, and they could be let loose well before the time that they could have served out for. Then when they're in prison, they can do programs like substance abuse programs, stuff like that. Most of it you just have to attend. You just show up. I mean, how fucking easy is that when you're in prison? It's not like you got anything else to do. You just fucking show up, right? So they show up to this stuff, get time credit for that, complete so many classes. They can work in the kitchen in a prison. They can have a janitor job in the prison. That takes off time. So they get a 10-year sentence. They ain't doing fucking 10 years. They're doing well less than 10 years, probably 5 or less. So they don't fear it. They don't give a shit. They know it's a fucking game, and they're not going to have to face any real punishment. And even when they're in prison, like I said, it's an inconvenience to them because they can't go out and do what they want to do, but it's still enjoyable for them. They have access to cable television. They get access to commissary, so they get chips, cokes, candy, honey buns, you name it. They get access to drugs inside the facility. Anything from weed to coke to meth, they get it in there. Access to alcohol, they can make their own wine in there. And, depending on the staff, they can even have some sex. I mean, obviously the prisoners can have sex with themselves, but there are some dirty-ass staff out there who will have sex with inmates. And so it's not that bad for them in jail or prison. They have a lot of amenities in there, despite them being locked in the box and not being able to go out to McDonald's whenever they want to. So they can make do. It's okay for them. So we have to get hard on crime. If we say someone's going to spend 10 years in prison, then it needs to be 10 fucking years, not a day less. And if they act up in prison, they cause problems, then that needs to add time to their sentence. In the prison itself, it needs to be redone. There's no reason to have all these privileges just given to you the minute you walk in the door. Like this, it has to be stuff they have to work towards and earn. If they don't want to play by the rules, then they can have their commissary restricted. They can have, other restrictions imposed on them. But these prisons don't operate like that. Instead, as soon as they walk in the door, they try to pacify them with all this shit. Here's your cable TV. You can buy yourself your own fucking TV to keep in your cell, and here's the commissary. Here's this big area that you could go hang out in, and you can go hang out with people and talk about whatever you want to talk about and do whatever you want. There's one prison guard that's going to watch you. He can't watch all 100 of you all the time. So, yeah, there you go. It's a mess. It really is. If people had any idea what really goes on in jails and prisons, they would be appalled. You have to make the criminals fear the criminal justice system, or else we're not going to get anywhere. And we have to lock away violent people like this. They don't have a place at the table, as far as I'm concerned. They don't need to be walking among us. They need to be locked away for a very long time or indefinitely, and never be allowed to walk with us again. If we do let them out, then like I said, we need to keep them locked up for a very long time until they're pretty much an old person. There's a reason why you don't see 70-year-old gangbangers on the streets. Now, I'm not saying there's not any 70-year-old gangbangers who are still doing some stupid stuff, but when you look at the streets, who do you see? You see from, 12 to 25-year-olds running the streets, right? The young cats. You don't see fucking 70, 80-year-old dudes at the street corner slinging dope. You don't see them going out car hopping. You don't see them out robbing people. Not in the numbers that the young ones do it. Now, you may still have a 70-year-old out there who will try to rob someone. May sell drugs. They might sell them from their, their apartment or whatever. But they're not doing the stuff like the young people are. So they're not that as big of a threat as the young people. And there's a reason why they don't go out there and play the game like the young guys do. Because they know they'll get killed. The streets have no respects for each other. They don't have no fucking... There's no honor among thieves. There's no honor among criminals. Those 15-year-olds will kill a fucking 70-year-old with no problem. They don't give a shit. So the 70-year-olds, they know they can't live that life, or else they'll die. Or they get caught too easily. I mean, you can't take a 70-year-old gangbanger who's walking around with a walker and expect him to outrun the police. It's just not going to happen. So that's one of the reasons why I say lock them away for a long time. Make them reach that old age to where they physically cannot be a big of a threat anymore. And also with that age, the adrenaline starts, or not the adrenaline, the testosterone starts dropping down, and men can start thinking a little bit more clearly when they don't have all that testosterone raging through their body. Anyway, enough on this video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.